Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of I Don't Have the Answers, but let's talk about it anyway. I'm your host, Timothy Four, and I wanted to thank you all for tuning in this week. Last week we did an episode about parenting, and I got some positive feedback from a lot of people. This week's topic is about art and education in our elementary schools. As this is not my wheelhouse, I have taken the opportunity to bring on two close personal friends of mine that this is what they do to get their own message across and to show the world their art. My guests this week are Mike Rodriguez, comic artist, illustrator. He's worked on projects that I'm sure that he'll be able to tell you a little bit more about for years, and also has some upcoming work called Deleted Scenes to be looking out for. And my other guest is Jason Ramirez, also known as Brody Griswold, Broadway the Lyricist in the past. Got some amazing stuff coming out for you soon. We'll have information about that towards the end of the show. But for now, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for having.
Thank you for having me as well.
Now, gentlemen, as I mentioned, this is not my wheelhouse. I can appreciate art and have appreciated both of your art for some time, but it's not something that I can openly discuss about being a release or helping me with any particular problems. But as you both have told me over the years, it's helped you with some pretty tough situations. Mike, if you don't mind, can you tell me a little bit more about the things that you've done and have helped you to get through your day-to-day issues?
Currently dealing with some serious stuff myself personally in my life. And even growing up, I've dealt with things, when I was in school as well, and in high school through college and whatnot. Art has actually been quite a saving grace for me. It helped me learn a lot about myself and about others. It's a therapeutic stress relief for me that lets me get my feelings out there. When you're looking at someone else's artwork as well, I feel like you get a lot out of what they may be going through at times too. If you go back to a lot of the famous painters and artists, from way back in the day, the Rembrandts and whatnot, they were all dealing with their own personal demons and stuff when they were putting a lot of that out there. And I feel like a lot of artists, put a lot of themselves in what they produce. And if you're dealing with some things, some personal issues, some things that are stressing you out, I know that it's something that can be very therapeutic and can help relieve a lot of that stress and a lot of that pain, and help you cope with a lot of that. So, I think that art is a really big thing, and I think it's something that's good for kids too. They can learn and grow themselves with art. It also helps with motor skills and things like that too. That's what they say anyway through lots of testing and whatnot that they've done, and I have to tend to agree. It builds your brain capacity. It makes you see things in a different way. So I do think that stuff is important. So
Definitely agree. Now, Jason, little known fact is you're actually a kind of a shy person in reality, but when you
That's true.
when you pick up that microphone, that confidence takes over and you become a different person. Have you seen that to be true throughout your time, and how has that helped you become more open?
Kind of piggybacking off of what Mike was saying. It is definitely it's a therapeutic thing for me. Kind of growing up in a household with of Hispanic descent, it was kind of like do as we say, not as we do, kind of a thing. So expressing yourself, not that it wasn't like it was frowned upon, but it's just something that kids didn't really do. So writing kind of provided that outlet for me. So yeah, like my kind of junior high school going into high school, writing and rhyming just kind of gave me that confidence.
Great.
Yeah, and being on stage, same thing.
Nice.
Like right now, I'm like just having a normal conversation is like I'm a absolute nervous wreck. But I think when you're expressing, you don't really have time to think when you're up there. You just have to do. And I think that's kind of been my saving grace.
Exactly, and that's kind of the reason behind why I chose this topic today. Because as I read about different things, there's a small little town in Moore, Oklahoma, that earlier this year, 1,100 teachers, teachers' aides, and different employees across their county were fired and let go. They all had a hand in the arts departments for that particular county. And immediately that was felt across all those students and everybody that was in those classes. They immediately felt the wave and how important that was. And rather than take that lying down, they came together. Elementary school kids, 5th grade, 4th grade, came together and bonded with each other to do what they could to save it. Now, I never had the art program that saved me. My sisters did. One of my sisters was, actually both of them were in band, and Jason, I'm sure that you can attest to this. Band helped my older of the two sisters because her mouth got her in trouble a lot. She would probably smack me a little bit, but band did help her. And that is one of the classes that's being cut in that town in Oklahoma. If it wasn't for art in your childhood, Mike, do you think that you would be as successful and able to handle the things you're going through now?
I don't think so. I think it'd be a lot harder. That's for sure. And it gives you something when you're young. Art gives you something to dream about. I always wanted to be an artist or an illustrator or in some sort of fashion. Like I wanted to either be an architect or anything like that. If you didn't have these types of classes or these types of things, and if it wasn't there, and if I wasn't doing it, I wouldn't have aspired. I wouldn't have become the artist that I did and professionally get some stuff out there, or I may not be working on what I'm working on now. I felt like growing up, sometimes when you're a kid, while things can be really, really easy for some, some of us struggle. And for me, I just found solace in being able to just draw every day and build on my skills and become a better person for me, dealing with that stuff. And if I didn't have, that escape through class or through teaching myself, I don't know how I would have been where I am now. I met a lot of people, through art, people that are close to me. I think I've accomplished a lot through art. I think that I have a lot to tell people through art. But without that there, without it being taught, or without it just being able to let loose in school or anything like that, I think that's a bad thing. I think kids need to be able to express themselves and to be able to dream, not just about being lawyers and doctors and stuff. Some are creatives. Like I am a creative person, so I don't think that I would have ever aspired to be like a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. I knew as a child with that escape and how it made me get through a lot of tough times that it's what I wanted to do. I needed to be a creative, and I think as we'll get into that probably later in this conversation, that I think with my gift I can help other people that are dealing with the same types of issues and stuff. And I think there's a lot of kids out there that'll probably be able to do the same thing. So but they need a little bit of fine teaching and learning from schools with a lot of these classes and things like that, and being taught where some artists came from, or basic development stuff, or being able to express themselves. So, but I don't think that I'd without it, I don't think I'd be the person that I am now.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned creative and being a creative person. There's a group of people that are taking the information about that all these politicians are spewing about the need to focus on science and math and social studies and to reduce the amount of money going into arts, and they have turned it on its head. And their idea is to create a more creative core instead of dealing so heavily and teaching so heavily the history of art and where it all comes from. They still have that basic part of their lesson plan, but they're wanting to promote creativity and promote a way to foster their creativity instead of just the history of it, to go into more than just your basic drawing, singing, and theatrical productions, to try and open up kids' minds to all the different ways that creativity can be helpful to them. And personally, I believe that it is a great way to come up with something different other than saying, yes, we need art, no, we don't need art. There's a third argument there. There's a third part that I think is great. It's to foster the creativity. Any thoughts on that and how that could actually play out, Jason?
So say that again. What is, like, how? I'm sorry.
They're trying that third group is trying to promote creativity over history instead of art history and where it came from and who did it, trying to foster the creative aspect and to teach children how to be creative and how to tap into their own personal creativity across many different genres. And
I mean, I think that idea is brilliant. I think, again, not only does it give kids confidence, but I feel like it could potentially give them a sense of identity. That's what hip hop has done for me. I can remember junior high school, I took a drama class, and that was like everything to me. I learned about freaking, rhyme scheme and iambic pentameter from like my English teacher. So those are things that, to this day I carry with me. But yeah, I think the the schools that are like getting rid of these programs, I feel like what they're trying to do is basically just kind of prepare kids to usher them into the workforce, to be kind of like cogs, to make the economy just continue to grow.
And I
So
totally
it's
agree.
yeah.
Totally agree. There are people out there that we need to help run the machine, but I also think that we need a group of these creative people to help make the machine better and to help make the machine livable. I don't know about you, but going in, punching a clock, and just churning out cogs every single day or gears is nothing without something to look at or something to listen to while you're doing it.
Well, you also need people to create the machines too. Not everything is set in stone. These guys got to make it. Everything has to change. Everything adapts, and the creatives are the ones that are going to do that.
Exactly. One of the things that I think is really powerful, my youngest son's currently in elementary school, and at their school, they're trying to promote art as gateways to different colorful careers. And as you walk down the hallway, they have this mural that's being painted right now. And it has all of the different career fields that art plays a part in. Of course, you have music and DJ and dance and painters, but then you have textile design, clothing design, architecture, all these other career fields that are being touched in some way or another by art, that it's not the mainstream, it's not the ways that people think. And I think that that's doing a disservice to such a broad genre and a broad education base. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you have an album that's getting ready to drop in. One of the tracks that you released a little tidbit of, it got my attention last week. It's I believe it's "Wake Up," is
Right.
and it's got a very deep message, and a lot of people might miss it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I make music, a lot of the times, I'm actually, before I speak to my audience, I'm kind of actually speaking to myself. I kind of filter everything through me. So I was kind of talking to myself because at one point, I was just kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like I was kind of floating along. I wasn't really aiming to like complete a full project. But Wake Up specifically is like, if you listen to the lyrics, is like, sleeping on your potential. I know you were born special. No divine intervention, homie, I'm just a vessel. Just trying to walk it through. I know who I'm talking to. Just pay attention. That's something you can afford to do. So, I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but it's just kind of a confidence booster, just, talking to people and, reminding them of their talent or, whatever their passion is. To like wake up and go get that.
And I think that is a perfect reason why I asked you on the show today, is because that kind of music that you create and that message that you're putting through resonates not only with me and this show and how it's just started, but also with Mike tapping into some of these things that over the last 20 years have just been sitting idle, and now you're able to produce and work on it in your upcoming work, Deleted Scenes. I think that those two are gelling together in my mind and helping me to realize what needs to happen as a whole in our society. Mike, can you touch a little bit on this upcoming project that you have?
Sure. About 12 years ago, I was working on what would have been like at that time in my life, it was just supposed to be about me and my friends. A lot of the fun little shenanigan type of scenarios that we used to get into. The reason why I called it Deleted Scenes is because people would get to see little bits of me that they didn't know, but also because since, as you, Tim, know, I'm a giant movie guy, very big on the film universe type of deal, and so I wanted to add like little interludes in between a lot of that, that were like my deleted scenes for movies or TV shows, like my little scenes that would make them pop, or things that would make them funny, or things like that. Time has passed. I kind of didn't, after I developed that 10 years ago, many things came into my life. Met someone, got married, all that stuff. So I kind of put that project away and never really thought about it until recently, when a lot of things started coming, into my life, that I really needed to find a way to keep my mind busy or keep me going. And I sat there one day and I started to doodle and write, and Deleted Scenes came back to me. But Deleted Scenes came back in a different way than it was before. The last 10 years or so, and then going back even further, 10 years prior to that, I've had a lot of experiences in my life, a lot of major impactful things that have happened in my life. A lot of people don't know that, I deal with, I struggle with cancer and emotionally and physically, and how that's hard on me. They don't know that several years back I almost had a child and lost that child, and how that impacted me. So Deleted Scenes is going to have a lot of things that's real and raw about me and how you deal with a lot of that. It's 20 years of my life, 20 years with very impactful, defining moments, and I'm trying to do my best to include as many of my friends and family that were a part of my life throughout this 20-year period, and kind of just put that out there in hopes that a lot of the things that I was dealing with and I was going through that some people can relate to, I can help them get through that stuff, because I know it wasn't easy for me, but I found a way, or I'm finding ways to get through a lot of that, and I'm hoping that this will help other people get through it too.
Exactly where I was going with this. As you mentioned, your art has evolved over time depending on what has happened and what happens to you and to those around you. And I think that a sign of that is this very show. In the beginning, I was going to make a show just about stuff that I've run into in my life. And even in the 2 episodes that I've recorded, the show has evolved to something else. And I think that rolling with what our life has offered us and has brought to us, it can provide some pretty amazing structure for different kinds of art that we're a part of. Be it music, some amazing TV shows that I haven't even mentioned yet, because I don't know if I'm allowed to mention that TV show. I don't have rights to, that one of my guests was in. To some amazing people that, Mike, that you've had a chance to work with and meet. Those are all part of the art that we have in our life and the art that we choose to show to everybody. And if we stifle that with our young people, I believe that we are causing us to live without something that could possibly make our lives better. I know that I wouldn't have been able to make it through it, the things that have happened to me, without being able to appreciate the art that I have around me every single day. I happen to have a picture that hangs on my wall of just a cute little Ewok that a friend of mine drew. There's a Ewok that you drew of my youngest son, Mike. Sits next to me every day, all day while I'm working. It's art like that, just little doses that gets brought into your life that helps you to make it through. A certain song you listen to that helps you get through that mundane drive when you have to go to work. Anybody who ever has to drive anywhere in the city of Tampa knows that traffic sucks and you can't make it through it without something. And for that, gentlemen, I appreciate you being able to offer that to us and to give us just a sampling of the hardship that you guys have been through, and helping us to live through your problems and your all the great things that have happened to you by way of your art. I'm hoping that in just a little way, we help change some minds out there and help show them that art can be a benefit to our young children. Now, I mentioned that you both have projects coming up. Jason, if you don't mind, can you give us a little bit of information on what we can expect and when we can expect to find it and where?
Absolutely. So, Off Broadway is the name of the title track off of the EP. That is going to be releasing on all digital platforms November 1st. The video as well, I'm still kind of working out, release strategy in terms of the video, but the song for sure will be out Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, whatever platforms. So that comes out November 1st. I actually chose to kind of go with like a single strategy. Initially, I was going to release an entire EP, but basically what I'm going to do is kind of spread it out. It's a total of about 8 tracks, and we're going to do, a song every couple months. So that'll kind of keep me busy. My social media, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So you guys can actually go on there and get little snippets like Tim, you were talking about earlier. Like I put little pieces of the project here and there, kind of sprinkle it out just to keep people interested and keep them up to date. But that's the official date, November 1st. That's when it'll be dropping.
Great, and I'll have that information along with this video for everybody to follow along. Jason's got an amazing career ahead of him, and I've been a follower of his for many, many years and plan to be there for the whole entire show. Mike, you mentioned deleted scenes. I know it's definitely a work in progress. I've enjoyed your little snippets that you share every day through what I have come to look forward to every year for Inktober. I love the whole every day of the month you do something different. And for those that haven't already followed your career, is there a way for them to follow along and get some snippets of that Inktober stuff?
Best way to do that is probably through my Twitter. For this entire month, for most of the month, I'm trying to get it out every day. I do have stuff that I can put out every day, but you know how the month goes and how life gets busy sometimes. So I try to make up for it when I can and put out 2 or 3 in a day if I've missed a couple of days. But so for the entire month of October, I'm giving little snippets of like behind the scenes work on the project. This is definitely very raw right now. It's very in the initial stages of this development of it. I've been working on it for 2 months, and there's hundreds and hundreds of sketches and drawings and a lot of writing to be done, and there's a lot of piecing to get there. Don't expect this project to hit until sometime at the beginning of the year, at least to start getting it out there. But Twitter is the best way to find it, or any snippets. It'll be more than just through this October period. As I develop more, you'll get more and more of like little like peaks and stuff, or just of any other art in general. But actually Instagram, not Twitter, I should say. I'm so sorry. But Instagram, it's MRODZ78.MR. That's where you can catch the peaks for Inktober and anything that comes in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to be with me on this show. I hope to have you guys on more often as I keep going on. It really is a testament to what you've done to get to this point to help me brave the elements and actually start my show. I've had a blast working with you guys and watching you guys over the years, and I'm just hoping that I can someday repay you in some way for helping me get to here.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you, and I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're doing it. I feel like art imitates life, and I think whether it be, I don't have all the answers or, deleted scenes, it took for you guys to experience certain things in your life to be able to be, to get to the point where you are. So keep living and keep creating.
Again,
same for you, and this is your art form, man. This is your way to get out there and do your thing. This is still a form of art too. So,
well, thank you both for your time.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Mike Rodriguez and Jason Ramirez, and as always, I don't have all the answers, but let's talk about it anyway. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
As promised, here is a clip from Jason Ramirez's upcoming single, Off Broadway, available on November 1st. Check it out.
Okay, if you fuck with me the long way, I'll forever be a legend. If you never hear my song play, I'ma do this shit my own way. Never needed shit from anybody, fucker, okay. If you fuck with me the long way, I'll forever be a legend. Cause the boy is no political agendas, no forced ideologies. This is only truth that I'm speaking with no apologies. No false information, no reason for me to lie. Cause I'm just here seeking my reason to be alive. I'm so grateful for the teaching, I'm eager to see the why. Well, most of y'all niggas just eager to see the prize. But who am I to judge a nigga that's seeking a piece of pie? My life is but a season, they eager to see